After a 2-year hiatus, Shadow and Bone Season 2 returned to Netflix in early 2023, but Season 3 of Shadow and Bone is still up in the air and likely will continue to be until after the strikes come to an end. Will Shadow and Bone get a Season 3 renewal or the rumored 6 of Crows spin-off? Here's what we know so far. Based on the Grishaverse books by Leigh Bardugo, Shadow and Bone is Netflix's big-budget fantasy show helmed by Eric Heisserer and starring Jessie Mei Li, Archie Renaux, Freddy Carter, and Ben Barnes. Season 1 landed on Netflix in April 2021, with Season 2 released almost 2 years later in March 2023. Has Shadow and Bone been renewed for a Season 3? Official renewal status: not yet renewed. Our renewal prediction: likely cancellation, last updated April 4, 2023. As of August 2023, the show remains in limbo alongside the long-rumored 6 of Crows spin-off that's not yet been greenlit. A renewal of Shadow and Bone will come down to the numbers, given it didn't earn itself an early renewal upfront. As we've covered before, Netflix shows have to meet several internal metrics used at Netflix, with one of the most important metrics, we're told, being the completion rate. The UGA and SAG-AFTRA strikes also play a major role in the show's future. Writers on the show would be prohibited from returning to work on the show until the strike has been resolved, which, as it stands, remains unclear. On top of the fact that the show would likely be 2 years away, which we've seen damages a show's viewership repeatedly, it makes the future look bleak. What have Netflix and people tied to the show said about a renewal? Sophie Holland, the casting director on the series, told Deadline in late May 2023, notably over 2 months after the Season 2 premiere. As for Shadow and Bone, we're really hoping for a 3rd season. It seems to have a huge fan base. It's a fresh, up-and-coming cast and the story is very faithful to the books, which is refreshing. It's all about that first month's performance on Netflix, I guess, so we'll find out soon if it's being recommissioned. It's a tricky time, as you noted, so we'll see. The latest we've had to any news regarding the future came in mid-June 2023 with an LA Times post talking about how fandoms are trying to game the system to get their shows renewed. Toward the end of the article, it states, Netflix said it hasn't made a decision on Shadow and Bone Season 3 yet. As with many shows across the entertainment industry, programming conversations are on hold due to the writers' strike, a company spokesperson said. It's worth noting that the social media accounts for the show have gone silent for over 3 months at the time of updating. The last official Twitter post came on May 5, 2023. Netflix's Tudum website notably hasn't posted any Shadow and Bone content since March. How well did Shadow and Bone Season 2 perform on Netflix? So how well did Shadow and Bone Season 2 perform on Netflix? We've tracked the show's progress using several sources, including Netflix itself. Netflix Top 10 Hourly Numbers. Let's begin with Netflix itself, which releases hourly data for its top 40 shows and movies every Tuesday. It featured in the Netflix Top 10s for 5 weeks, picking up 160.79 million hours watched. Here's how those hours break down from week to week. Week period hours viewed, rank week in top March 10th 12th, 2023 to March 19th. 2023 50,400,000 to March 1st 19th, 2023 to March 26th, 2023 55,030,000, plus 9%. To March 2nd 26th, 2023 to April 2nd, 2023 27 million, minus 51%. 3 April 3rd 2nd, 2023 to April 9th, 2023 16,740,000, minus 38%. 6 April 4th 9th, 2023 to April 16th, 2023 11,620,000, minus 31%. 9/5 Sadly, we're unable to compare viewing hours of Season 2 with Season 1 because these weren't released and are a relatively new thing Netflix has introduced. Instead, we only learned that 55 million people watched Season 1 in the first 28 days. Its opening weekend could be illustrative of the problem. We've compared the show's second season purely to other genre shows in their first week. We can see Shadow and Bone is set between 2 groups of shows thus far, meaning, in our opinion, it's currently skirting the line. Title Week 1, Hours in Top 10 Status The Sandman 69,480,000 Renewed Vikings, Valhalla S255,350,000 renewed Shadow and Bone S250,400,000 unknown Raising Dion S2 49,090,000 cancelled Fate, The Winx Saga 48,960,000 cancelled Warrior Nun S2 26,220,000 cancelled. How does the CVE, complete viewing equivalent, divide the number of hours versus the show's runtime? Look, it tells the same story, with the show struggling to get more CVE than Sweet Tooth Season 2 after its first 14 days. In Week 2, our Top 10 report looked at the evolution of the series and compare it to several other fantasy shows that also weren't renewed. Completion data for Shadow and Bone Season 2. Thanks to exclusive data from Plum Research, we've got an idea as to how many people started and went on to finish the show, at least from their broad US panel of viewers. Their data states, after 7 days, 36.3% of people who had started the second season had finished after 28 days, 52.2% of people who had started the second season had finished after 90 days, 56.8% of people who had started the second season finished. More completion data from them released in July allows us to compare with other shows. Title CR7D, %, CR28D, %, CR90D, %. Ginny and Georgia S2 47.9%, 69.6%, 73.7%. Manifest S4 46.9%, 68.9%, 73.1%. Firefly Lane S2 44.6%, 65.5%, 70%. Outer Banks S3 44.7%, 62.4%, 66%. The Night Agent S1 42.3%, 56.6%, 59.6%. Love is Blind S4 61.7%, 44.7%, 52.7%. That 90s Show S1 39.1%, 47.4%, 49%. The Recruit S1 30.2%, 45.4%, 48.4%. Unstable S1 32%, 40.6%, 42.7%. Raw Top 10 data from Flix Patrol. One positive sign for the show is its ability to stick around in the top 10s for a sustained period of time. According to Flix Patrol, the show was still the fourth biggest around the globe as of April 4, 2023, and showed particular strength in countries like Australia, the Nordics, and Central to East Europe. At the very least, we'd be looking for Shadow and Bone to stay in the top 10s until a month has passed since Season 2 debuted. External data demand for Shadow and Bone Television. Stats.com uses metrics from around the web, including Wikipedia traffic, IMDb traffic, Twitter, Reddit, and torrents, to judge the most in-demand shows at any given time. Shadow and Bone look to have performed well in this department. How about critical consensus? On that front, things look decent. Season 2 on Rotten Tomatoes scored well with critics, just like Season 1. With an 84% rating compared to the 89% for Season 1. IMDb scores for the individual episodes in Season 2 ranged from 7.6 to 8.6. Nielsen Top 10 data for Shadow and Bone Season 2. Moving on to Nielsen's Top 10 data, also tracked via our Top 10 search tool, we can see how the show has evolved from Season 1 to Season 2. Their data tracks connected device viewership, specifically in the United States. As seen below, the show had good viewership in Week 1 and Week 2 but notably didn't grow between those 2 weeks and, worse yet, saw around a 50% drop in Week 3. What to expect from Shadow and Bone Season 3? There's a lot of story left to be told in Shadow and Bone Season 3, even though much of the main book trilogy has now been adapted, somewhat controversially, it has to be said, with Season 2 covering much of the events of Siege and Storm and Ruin and Rising. The finale of Season 2 shows us the Darklings' death but notably diverges from the books by splitting the pair up and introducing a new darkness into Alina's world. The show's creators have teased that any new season would consist of a mix of new original material while also weaving in some of the King of Scars duology novels. Netflix Life detailed some of the biggest burning questions for Season 3, including, is Alina now a shadow summoner? What's happening to Nikolai at the end of Shadow and Bone Season 2? What is the drug Jurda the Crows are trying to stop? Will there be a Shadow and Bone spin-off? Since Season 1 debuted, we've consistently heard rumors of a Six of Crows spin-off. Eric Heisserer confirmed these plans to Entertainment Weekly on March 16, telling the Access outlet the spin-off would be its own little season. of fun that our characters would get to be a part of, but added that it depends largely on the numbers for Season 2. There's a lot of work that's gone into the planning of this. The hope is then we get to act on that planning, Heisserer told you. But of course, it's about how well Season 2 numbers do. And if so, then Dagan and I will continue to carry the mantle of both shows, which is also helpful because we have a lot of mouths to feed in terms of giving screen time to all the actors. Numerous production listing websites and outlets have confirmed that Six of Crows is in active development. Netflix told us that while a Six of Crows series has been in development, it isn't near a greenlit stage but is subject to change. Shadow and Bone, Destiny's coming soon to Netflix. Finally, in 2022 Netflix announced it would be releasing a mobile companion game for Shadow and Bone slated for release in 2023 but clearly wasn't ready in time for the release of Season 2. Here's what you can expect from the title per the game's developer, Chimera Entertainment. Shadow and Bone, Destinies is a single-player role-playing game for Netflix's gaming service on mobile devices, based on the IP of the same name. Players choose a variety of heroes to journey across the world of the Grishaverse in a story-driven quest to fulfill their destinies. Along the way, they will have to manage scarce resources, uncover clues about their destiny, and interact in a wide variety of events, such as using Grisha magic, stealth, negotiation, and combat. The game could also be described as a modern choose-your-own-adventure game, with a healthy dose of RPG and episodic storytelling. Do you want to see the return of Shadow and Bone for a Season 3 and